Again, I want to talk about. I love retro games. You love retro games. You just talked about a couple retro game things. Um, I grew up with another game series known as Castlevania, the original, the OG, and
The Vania and
the
Metroidvania.
Vania and Metroidvania, and Vampire Survivors came out a few years back. Launched as just a Poncle was a developer, just a single developer created
Runaway smash of a game.
Runaway. It sold the Steam Deck, and then it made its way to PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox. It made it. I think it's on my toaster. It is the modern version of one of those games, right? So, Vampire Survivors is a fantastic indie game that captures everything that I want out of a very quick hit. Dopamine. It's got the not roguelike, I guess you could say, maybe not really, but it's that sort of bullet hell, what a garlic like, as they say. But it was clearly designed as an homage to Castlevania, even freaking using some Castlevania sprites in different ways, the original one. Well, finally, I think it was last year. Konami obviously knew what they were working with, Poncle knew what they were working with when they developed this. They couldn't get on Konami's bad side. They didn't want Konami to get pissed off and sue them into oblivion. Konami finally turned the cheek and said, "We're going to collaborate with you and make a Contra version." And they made a Contra piece of DLC. Very bizarre, but hey, whatever.
I was hoping that's where that was going, because that's where
me too well. Yeah. Listen, that's like a dad joke to me. It's good. No, so but that opened the door to. They were kind of testing the waters a little bit, but that opened the door to getting the actual Castlevania DLC, which just launched shortly ago. I think last week or so, but
2 weeks ago,
something like that. But so yeah, Vampire Survivors. It's called Ode to Castlevania. I'm gonna put in this launch trailer here. So let me tell you what this is. It is Vampire Survivors with the actual full-on Castlevania stuff in there. It is. I'm gonna start off by saying this is the best DLC by far for Vampire Survivors. This is what Vampire Survivors was created for. Like Poncle, they've probably been sitting on this since the very beginning, and knowing that they couldn't put it out until recently, refining, because it is absolutely perfect. So I'm gonna talk about the whole premise is Castlevania, right? It's a ginormous, incredible map, biggest map in the game, so massive. It's the castle from Symphony of the Night. It's got like rooms.
With all of the bullshit.
Yeah. It's got rooms. It's got secret rooms. It's got it's got paths, like secret paths. It's got side-scrolling areas which are wild. Has everything you remember about that map is here in like some really fun and unique ways. Has like a massive amount of playable characters. So like you start with, I think, Leon, and then you start unlocking everybody else kind of across the entire history of Castlevania. So they use Symphony of the Night as sort of the base, but you're getting everybody, or almost everybody, even some like quirky things from Castlevania Legends and other aspects are in this. They gave us a cheat code that we could plug in and unlock everything all at once if we wanted to. I saved that until I had put in several hours and understanding what this DLC was. Because I wanted to experience everything else, understand.
DM me that cheat code.
Will do. So there are unlock all these incredible characters and locations and stuff like that. There are weapons from across the history, which is wild. So like you get, obviously, Vampire Survivors, there's already a whip, but now you get a bunch of different whips, you get a bunch of different magic spells, a bunch of different weapons and tools and items and all kinds of stuff. It's like really cool to mix and match some of the stuff from across. Like I'm gonna grab something like Simon Belmont's whip from Castlevania 1, or I'm gonna get the magic spell from Castlevania 3. I'm gonna get this from Symphony of the Night. I'm gonna get this from whatever, and I'm gonna like link all these things up. You get all this stuff put together, and you get some of the characters and stuff, and then the screen gets like absolutely obliterated. In the current Vampire Survivors, the screen gets, you'll get like a lot of explosions, a lot of crazy things happening, but it's mostly because there are so many monsters coming at you. This is almost like all those monsters, but then just an insane amount, like over the top. It's overkill how much stuff can happen on the screen. And that happens very quickly once you start unlocking things, unlocking characters. To the point where I thought my Switch was going to start smoking. I got this on the Switch, by the way. And it functioned really well. Again, it's simple enough. Although when you do get just a crap ton of stuff happening, you can kind of feel that, like, okay, there's a little bit of like, there's some noticeable jankiness that's starting to take place. Jankiness is a technical term. So anyway, so much attention to detail. Like it's brilliant down to enemy design and boss design. Like I love the secret rooms. There are bosses from different games, like Medusa heads and the Medusa, that kind of stuff. That unlock even more like rewards and items and characters. It's just layers and layers. It is like it is a Castlevania history game, and I think, the music and new arrangements they have. Some of this music are fantastic. Like I found myself saying, I remember that tune. Oh, but it's like kind of cool and like a unique little different way. Got a little bit of a spin to it. Magic. But it's really like a crash course in Castlevania, especially for people who, it's great for us fans who know all these characters, most of these characters, and they might have to look up something because there's some wild obscurity that they were allowed to put in this. But it's great for people that have never played the series before. And like, let's face it, most people haven't, because there hasn't been a new Castlevania game in forever. There have just been collections. I think the majority of the people that own Steam Decks probably weren't alive when the last Castlevania actually came out. But it's like, the idea is, let's take all of Castlevania and just put it all together at once, right? It's like you played Tetris Time Warp. It's like every Tetris. This is all Castlevanias. Like the multiverse has collapsed. Vampire Survivors is always a great game just to kind of sit and like take out and go on like a run and lose like 25, 30, 40 minutes in. Because if you got nothing else to play, Vampire Survivors is very easy to play. This brought so much new life to the game that I didn't know that I needed. I thought it was going to be just, that's cool, it's a fun aesthetic. There's some areas, but it's still Vampire Survivors. And yeah, this is still Vampire Survivors, but holy crap, holy water crap. This is Castlevania Survivors, and it's so freaking good. I cannot recommend it enough. It's so good, and it really is essential if you own Vampire Survivors. You have to get this because this is what it was going to be all along. There's some of the 2D stuff. This is what it was going to be all along, and they've nailed it. And yeah, kudos. Like this is it. Like Spears, man, it's just incredible. Go for it. Yeah, do it. Great. Castlevania. Ode to Castlevania. You got me. This is, if there were 100 out of 10 scores, this would be it for DLC. It's just brilliant. Perfect.
The last fully original Castlevania game to come out was Lords of Shadow 2 in 2014. Yeah, it's been a decade.
But it's just so good. Look at this stuff. Look at the ginormous whips and it's just all fucking craziness going on here. It's so good.
I did audibly gasp the first time it goes into a side-scrolling section. Like, wait, what?
I was like, oh shit, what? Yeah. Yeah.
As you start fighting your your dark version and stuff, do all that stuff, man.
Just all again, enemies from all across the.
It's perfect. The powers, the aesthetic, the level itself. Like, I would have been okay if this is just, it's such a, because it's a just one more run kind of game. Like, that being the only map is like would be okay for me anyways.
Yeah, really, totally is.
And it's cool that you get like the different, like you start unlocking more soundtracks as you play, and that each one has like each individual track has like 3 different tempos you could go with, and
so they nailed capturing those details, like all those little details of Castlevania are in this. Like even to like paintings in the background, like this is, they've brought those in from the game, and it looks, there's that giant shield, which is cool. it's one of those where we bring back this idyllic nostalgia. Like, hey, it looks exactly like what I remember it to look like. Well, this does and it doesn't. This looks exactly like what I thought a 2D Castlevania, a top-down Castlevania would look like.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you are Castlevania Survivor.
What if Castlevania was Smash TV? Like,
yeah, it's exactly. great way to. But it's so good. Yeah, it's out now. It's like super cheap. Pick it up. There's no reason not to get this.
Yeah, it was sometimes like when it's DLC, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't really feel like spending $10. It's like $3.50 on Steam, and that's just its normal price, and you're just like, yeah, man, there's no second thoughts here, got it. And then then 2 hours later, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens here, because again, we are you're finding things in this, in discovering, and especially the idea of the secrets in the path, because it's laid out, the layout of this. But we're seeing all that nostalgia come in. You're like, oh crap, I want to see what they got next. And so a fantastic.
It's kind of nice to get lost too.
Yeah, it really is.
Like it's like you don't really have that many ways. Like I pause and look at the map, and I'm like, wait a minute, how do I get? Wait, how did I get here? How do I go back to where I wanted to go? It's like, it's cool. It's cool.
It's so worth it.